Welcome to a best of 3 series of top level StarCraft 2. What I've got for you today is a Terran versus Protoss between 2 teammates. Now spawning right here in the top right hand corner and immediately sending out an SCV, we're looking inside of the main base of Ryung. Down in the bottom left with the blue Protoss probes, we're looking at none other than Zoun. Now, where are we going with those workers? We are, by the way, on White Rabbit LE. LE, in case you're wondering, it stands for Ladder Edition. This is now an official StarCraft 2 ladder map, so congratulations to the map maker. It has indeed been chosen as one of the 9 finalists from the recent map contests, and it's nice to see the, you know, it's kind of like the final version of a map. Sometimes I get, I guess, updated versions, but when you add the LE badge, the Ladder Edition badge, that's when you know you've made it as a map maker. Okay, now Zoun is not going to see the proxies, but he will notice that something is lacking on the other side of the map. So there's only a single supply depot at this point in time. White Rabbit, by the way, I'm assuming that's a Matrix reference, right? I'm assuming, at least, considering all the greeny and the, you know, the black stuff and whatnot. I guess maybe I might be wrong. I kind of suck at detecting movie references, so we'll be honest with you, but I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that this one has to be the Matrix. Now, what version, okay, are we gonna go for? There's a few different variations of the cheese that you can do as a Terran. Apparently, we're just gonna build good old Marines into a good old bunker. Now, Zoun wants to go for a Nexus. Yeah, that's not gonna be happening. Maybe it should be for the best, though, because if you do build a Nexus here, it does become slightly problematic. Odd way to start things off, but it is important that both of these guys are part of Vitality. So there's a good chance that they will be practicing against each other quite frequently. At the very least, they are on good terms, and, well, more than likely at the very least. I don't really know specifically how these two feel about each other, but, you know, it's really fun. At least, let me say it like this, right? It's really fun to beat your friends at StarCraft, but it's even more fun to beat your friends at StarCraft with stupid strategies. So that might be what Ryung is trying to go for here. Factory, in the meantime, goes up onto the high ground. This will never really win him the game straight up, but it is going to massively delay whatever the Protoss player has got prepared. So there's a Robo facility coming up right now together with an extra gate, right? Okay, nice to have. Thing is, he doesn't know if this is going to be like a Marauder follow-up, right? Do you want to go like full cheese? Do we really need to build an Immortal before we can break down towards the low ground? It's kind of tricky. You'd never really know exactly what to expect, but I guess he's seen that the Marine now has made its way back home. He hasn't spotted a command center yet. That one starts up right now. Yeah, and I think because of all of this, maybe the original plan was to go for an Immortal first. Now instead we decide to just go for a good old Robo facility Prism. And we're going to try and dance over here. SCV, in the meantime, goes away as far as he can. He needs to expand, but he also wants to be aggressive with the 4-gate. Is it a 4-gate or a 3-gate? No, it's going to be a 4-gate here in total. He wants to be aggressive, doesn't want to show the Prism. Zealot now also sent down to the low ground. SCV is likely going to fall. Zealot does die as well. Honestly, this is kind of messy. Okay, bunker does die. That'll be everything taken care of, I think. I like that recharge. Ryung now using this for some scouting. He notices, though, that there is a Robo facility in the main base, but no Immortal. That must mean that there is at least a Prism out on the map somewhere already. Luckily here for Ryung, he can fly his command center down to the low ground, so that will make life a bit more manageable. Barracks have now made their way back home. I'm expecting a Nexus here for Zoun. Do we go for an all-in? I don't know, man. Is that what we need to do? He doesn't have Blink or whatever, right? Like, this looks like a Blink Stalker all-in with 4-gate, but he doesn't have Blink. I guess there's also no siege tanks or anything. Bunker does finish up just barely in time, and I guess you can give everything Blink with the Prism, as long as your micro is on point. Cyclone is here. You can indeed break the leash by, well, picking up the units. Okay, siege tank number 1 spawns. Siege tank number 2 is coming. I think that extra warp in should have gone to a Nexus. SCV is body blocking a potential expansion. I quite like it. Is it gonna fit? Block him. Yes. Honestly, you built an energy bay, man. Built an energy bay just to insult your friends some more. Observer around the back. It's been spotted, I think, here by the Terran. He's got energy for a scan. Yeah, he must notice it right now. There we go. Okay. Okay. As the dust settles, who is in a better spot? Well, the difficult part, I guess, for Ryung is securing the low ground. He's gonna have to leapfrog the tanks. Twilight Council now coming up for Zoun. Do you really want to still go into Blink from here? I mean, you kind of need it at some point, but it's not really a timing attack anymore at this point. Normally, you want to hit before the siege tank numbers get out of control, and... Okay, we are still going Blink, but we have certainly long missed that timing. Zoun really just trying to be annoying for now. Bunker, though, has already been salvaged. Ryung knows that the expansion will be taken at some point. Yep. Zoun knows it, too. Ooh. Okay. And I think that settles it all. Do you go for a straight third? I wouldn't even mind seeing a straight third. Yeah. Yeah, this feels greedy. But what's Terran gonna do? Terran's barely able to secure their natural, so, you know, Stimpec is obviously gonna be late because those barracks had to fly. I don't mind this. So, we're basically building the natural and the third right around the same time. Okay. Zoun also going straight into a Templar Archives. So, third Nexus really quickly, and then probably straight into Psystorm as well. Now, I don't think he's going to be able to finish Psystorm in time for a Stimpec push. Then again, is this even going to be combat shields? Like, we're a bit late, Ryung. We should really have started that up already. Green light here is lacking. Zoun knows it. He sees that there's no shields. Now it starts up. But, yeah, you can visually see on the Marines that they are not holding up their combat shields. You never know, I guess, if Stimpec is done or not. So, maybe he assumes Stimpec is finished and the combat shield is coming here. Could be. But I think Zoun is in a pretty nice spot. Then again, Ryung could still build an awful lot of units. And even though all the timing attacks here are a bit messy, he can just add on a third command center of his own as well and call it a day. He could go for a Marine all-in with like an SCV pool if he really feels threatened, but I doubt it. Obviously, the Protoss eco was also slowed down quite a lot. Cheeky little medevac, though, has snuck away. There are already Stalkers waiting on the perimeter of the main. Ryung hoping that maybe he can catch a Nexus right about over here, maybe? Yeah, scan right now reveals the High Templar follow-up, and the fact that the High Templar indeed do have a private jet. He wants to go into the main base. This could be problematic. Don't do it, Ryung! No! Okay. Man, airplanes these days are beautiful things, aren't they? Did you see that? He made like a freaking U-turn there in a split second. Incredible. Still though, the Marines are not out of the woods just yet. Medevac does go down eventually. Okay. Guardian Shield is nice. What about the Terran group over here on the right side? Well, I thought maybe they wanted to come in for the rescue. Not the case. It all comes down to the storms. Keep in mind that storm now lasts longer, but deals less damage over time. Meaning that it's better against clumped up tanks, for example, but worse against bio in general. Assuming the Terran, you know, doesn't walk into it. Charge is done at the perfect moment. It's still tough, though, because the Terran army here is massive. Widowmine does get detonated, but a lot of the units do end up falling. There's one shield battery here to the left. We have a group of zealots trying to go in around the right side, and I guess that means that we are moving forward. Prism, drop the High Templar! Oh, we don't need him? Okay, finally we do. He didn't want it to get blasted, but apparently that wasn't even necessary. The Stalkers and the Zealots already did plenty well for themselves. Yeah, big power spikes for the Terran. But it's not enough to deal with those of the Protoss. Charge is such a killer upgrade. It kind of sucks for offense, I mean, it's nice for Zealot run-bys and all that, but it's not a great upgrade early on for Terran, you know, to be, like, to be fighting a Terran player with. But to defend against whatever the Terran's got, especially siege tank-based attacks, Zealots are just so sick. Still, though, not a massive loss there on the side of the Terran. I don't think Ryung can be all too happy with how this game is going. But he does have a third command center done. His eco is fine. As long as he can go double upgrades. We do need an armory. He hasn't yet built an armory. That one's going to be a bit late. It's going to actually make everything a little bit messy. In the meantime, though, Zoun is moving forward. Zealot run by on the right side. Mostly just to be annoying. Okay. As the ghosts are coming up, though, so is the Robo Bay. Zoun will be going into the Colossus here, I'm sure. So while Ryung is still trying to counter the previous unit composition, the one that Zoun currently has, Zoun is already moving on. Double Robo. Yeah, double Robo Colossus is going to be phenomenal. Expensive, though. Fourth Nexus in the meantime is finished. There's the armory and the second Engie Bay. Like I was trying to say, these are late. There's a lot going on, so I guess it's easy to forget, but it is going to make the game more difficult moving forward here for Ryung. Ryung, I mean, I mention this every Ryung cast that I do. I don't mean this in a bad way. I don't know how I can make it sound positive. I don't mean this in a bad way, but Ryung is one of the slower StarCraft pro gamers out there. I guess you can't twist slower in a positive way, right? He's precise. He's precise with his actions. Let's put it like that. Anyways, in absolute numbers, he's not quite as fast as other Terrans that I cast all the time. Most notable compared to, for example, somebody like Klim, who seems to secretly be hiding a third arm. Maybe we need to check for that sort of thing, man. See if the pro gamers don't have an extra arm hiding somewhere. But it is certainly noticeable when you look at little tiny details like that. It's not the end of the world. It's very playable. But sometimes I do feel like we miss just a little bit of that refinement. Maybe methodical. How about methodical? He's deliberate. He's deliberate with his actions. Deliberation rarely wins from raw speed. Dude, I've mentioned this a few times now in previous Ryung casts, and I've seen in the comment section people saying like, yeah, I get what you mean, Loco. I'm also struggling in Gold League because I'm of the age of like 34. It's like, brother, that's... Ryung would beat anybody in Gold League with literally one hand and his eyes closed. That is not... It's not likely what is holding you back. Also, I don't think you're probably going to be held... Unless you maybe have like some, I don't know, some limitation in real life. But I don't think... at age 30? I can only speak for myself, but slowing down... I'm not noticing, man. No, the thing about pro gamers, even when they are, you know, maybe APM-wise a little bit slower, they are so much better. Like, players like Zoun and Ryung could literally not play the game for 5 years, come back, and still get their placement matches done in Grandmaster. Like, it's not... The jump from, like, Grandmaster to the pro level is so big, it's hard to describe. Like, I tried getting good at StarCraft many times before. And I feel like when you really try, you can appreciate more how good the pro gamers truly are. Because the difference from Grandmaster to pro level is nuts. Anyways, here we go. Zoun moving in. EMP does land right now on the Stalkers. Is there enough here for the Terran to defend this? The zoning here is certainly not in his favor, and these storms now, lasting so bloody long, they make it very difficult for Terran to actually get down to the low ground after being caught off guard. Still, though, the raw firepower in the Marines and the Marauders is awesome. We do have that Prism up in the air, and it does end up falling there with a unit group inside of it. Overextension from Zoun. Even though he had the perfect position, he ran out of casts, and the EMPs there were good enough. He did hide this base over here on the far left. Yeah, this is not something Ryung currently knows of. Could be problematic there for Ryung, but he decides to celebrate that win in the fight with a fusion core. He did obviously take quite a few hefty losses too. Ah, man, we really need to go 3-3 immediately, man. 3-3 is so important here for Terran. Instead, he wants to go into the Liberator transition a little bit quicker. Now, I did cast some games of Ryung recently in this matchup where he made a fusion core, but then he just never built the upgrades. I found it very strange. I think that was like a best of 5 series. And he built a fusion core, but then he never got the upgrades out of it. As a decoration, the fusion core doesn't do anything. You just spend a lot of resources on something that can research upgrades, but if you don't, yeah, you don't have them. I'm hoping that that's not going to be the case this time around. Zealots in the meantime, though, tearing apart a little group of marauders, it looks like, in the middle of the map. Okay. Now, Ryung is winning all of the little fights, it seems. But economically speaking, he doesn't have nearly as much as Zoun. Zoun has got another base over here at the far bottom. He is now on 6. Whereas Ryung has got a similar amount of workers. He's only 6 less, but he's on 4. There's a new command center here. Okay, there we go. Caduceus reactor does start up. That is the medevac regen improvement. So it doubles the regeneration speed of energy in the medevac, which is really nice, especially when you have more and more supply dedicated to Vikings, and eventually also to, like, Liberators and all the rest of it. There's the +3 starting up. Feels late to me. Same for the +3 armor. We still have to fire that up. There we go. Okay. Wouldn't mind seeing a +2 air attack either, if I'm being very critical. +2 air weapons is real nice. Okay. In the meantime, though, Zoun is looking at this Terran, and he believes that this is not a Terran who's going to be moving out anytime soon. Whew, we have so many Zealots here in the mix. But what we have at home is 2 additional Stargates, a fleet beacon, and a second cyber core. So this is a full transition towards, well, Skytoss. The cyber core is here for the double upgrades for the flying units. Yeah, Ryung playing this like a, you know, a turtle Terran would. Not really turtling too hard, I suppose, but clearly zero intention to move out. He doesn't really want to move until the Liberator numbers are big enough, and he hasn't even started making them. Maybe we'll see some attacks, but he's really trying to play SimCity on his side of the map. And this is giving Zoun a ton of time to just be the greediest version of himself. He wants to actually get rid of some of those Zealots. It's one of those weird things where you can start making Tempests now, or maybe even carriers. There's the ranged upgrade for Libs. But you do have to have the supply available for it too. Up until this point, Zoun has been very minerals, well, heavy, trying to just get rid of his gas geysers, but he's taken all of them in one go now. Except for the ones up north, fair enough. Okay, takes them right now too. Good. Another command center in the mix. We're on 2 starports. Honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing a 3rd. Maybe that's a little early. But yeah. That's a preemptive storm right over there. That's funny. He just casted that even though the Terran wasn't even, well, really pretending to go down to the low ground yet. I'm liking this position for Zoun better, though. Like, Zoun is wandering around this map. He's moving around this map like he owns the place. Now he gets a pretty darn good fight as well, with some of the Terran army distracted, trying to move on. And this is now gonna give him the opportunity to make a proper transition to Skytoss. Still, though, it looks like the army is gonna get wiped. And you always have to wonder, right? Is this an overextension? Terran can rebuild quite rapidly. There's a big group of Zealots showing up. We're even gonna go for Mama. Okay. Mothership coming up. Tectonic destabilizers that doubles the damage that Tempests deal against structures, even though I think we only have 1. Yeah, we only have 1, as the rest of the starports right now, or the Stargates, have started producing carriers instead. Zoun is spending money like he's never gonna run out. He believes he's found an infinite credit card, but the bills are due. I wonder if Ryung could, like, be a bit more aggressive, though. Ryung finally finds out about his base on the left, but he doesn't know about the base over here in the middle. He really hasn't shown any intention to be the aggressor. Now we finally go Liberators. I think these last few minutes from Ryung have been far too passive. It seems to me that Zoun has prior knowledge of this. He must have done some games against Ryung before and recognized the same thing, because Zoun effectively spent... how much is it? Like, maybe 1,500 gas, 1,500 minerals or so on things that are only gonna be useful minutes down the line. This is a really slow transition normally for the Protoss to make in the late game, and that's one of the reasons why we rarely see it when we, for example, see Protoss players going up against, well, yet again, Clem, because Clem is always in your face. But Ryung didn't just, like, slowly transition to it. He built everything in one go. Normally, by the way, we see the mothership as well skipped. The main problem for the mothership is that it's just so expensive and it takes forever and it still dies to Vikings. So the counter to carriers is Vikings, the counter to Tempests is Vikings, and then, yeah, the mothership is a free kill. But Ryung didn't know. And Ryung right now is finding out what Protoss has been cooking up all this time. 3 additional Stargates, by the way, added into the mix. Finally, we have a 3rd star port as well for the Terran, but it feels a little slow. Yeah, I say this all while Ryung does have the supply advantage. But he still has no intention of moving out. So when the new balance patch first went live, all Terran players played like this. Very passive, very slow, not really doing a whole lot in the mid to late game. Mostly just trying to slowly play SimCity and eventually get there, right? But lately, I think the best players on the new patch so far are probably Clem. I haven't seen Maru play yet, so I know there's some games from the RSL that I will be casting in the near future. But anyways, I'm sure Maru is very good too. But I think Clem, I've been impressed by Bjorn as well. But Clem especially has been playing a lot more aggressively lately in this matchup. And it's working for him. Like, rather than sitting back and just being a punching bag, we've seen the likes of Clem just be, well, in the opponent's face a lot more. And Ryung is still playing this very cautious approach, which I feel like is just not good. Maybe it's good against weaker players, but Zoun is amongst the very best on the planet. Maybe I'm proven wrong, who knows? Nice little hit squad over here on the right. There are some zealots on lunch break. Nexus dies because of it. Mandatory 30-minute break at noon, so, you know, they had to stand there for a bit. Building armor coming up for Ryung now. It's gonna make dealing with those Tempests a little bit easier. Tactical nuke, by the way, was made here by Ryung. But Zoun already has his side of the map covered, right? So Zoun's goal is to take 50% of the map and then chill. Well, maybe deny some of those bases on the side of the Terran. Ooh, mass repair is still really good, though. I am missing the mech upgrades here for Ryung. Tactical nuke, though, is apparently the top priority right now, but I do believe that the armor upgrade would be sweet to have. Ooh. Get off my lawn! I've got Size Storm. Well, and the bodyguard who has swords for hands. Pretty nice. Apparently, we're gonna try and do the same thing again in a moment. Nexus over on the right side does go down yet once more, or yet again once more, but... Clearly, a lot of Terrans, though, are feeling that this is the way to play. So I'm probably mistaken, but I feel like against the best Protoss players on the planet, this is kind of a finicky approach. I don't love it. Zoun now also has added in a Oracle. Reason for the Oracle is that the Tempest can shoot away further than they can see. So you can use the... Ooh, there's the Vikings moving in. You can use the Oracle for Revelation. Ryung, though, has a sensor tower down. He can notice when some of these units are moving in. I think it's probably due to the fact that Ghosts are 2 supply again, compared to what they used to be for a long time. And maybe it's making the Terrans feel more comfortable turtling up some more. Because the armies are just way bigger in the late game now for Terran, but... Is this a dance you can win as Terran? I don't know. Well, maybe if Terran can actually force a fight. Time Warp, though, would be kind of sweet here. Cloaking Field gets activated. There are still a lot of storms available. There's Mama going in, throwing the Time Warp onto the Vikings. Yeah. I'm sorry, Mama, for doubting you. I never meant to doubt you. That Time Warp was really nice, forcing those Vikings to move away, giving a lot more time there to the rest of the Protoss units to really get the job done. Colossi added into the mix as well now. We're going Archons? Okay. We're doing all the fancy units. We started off with, well, Zealots, and then more Zealots, and then some units added into the mix too, but mostly Zealots. And now we arrive at the ultimate Protoss Death Bowl. Still some storms available to make it difficult here for this Terran army to chase. That's another group of SCVs going down together with the command center itself. And the man that was the one that enabled that retreat apparently was not given a recall. Where'd they go? Oh, there they are. Tactical nuke. What? No! Ryung! Ryung, no! Is he committing Sudoku? Okay. I thought for a second we were rage quitting in style. Because he was nuking his own army. I guess what he meant to do was scan or something along those lines. But he accidentally had the wrong unit or structure selected. I have never seen a Terran player nuke their own army before, though. Not at least the entirety of it. I mean, now, am I messed up when I say that I kind of want to see it now? I kind of want to see him crash out like that, man. It's kind of... I have issues. I have problems. Anyways, this Nexus also has problems. Never mind, it's fine. Shield battery came in. Yeah, Ryung is fizzling out. It's this passive style where basically the goal is to create a death ball of Terran, but you give the Protoss so much time to do the same thing whilst having a bigger economy. So like, you both death ball the perfect army, but then one player is death balling off of an economy that's like 30% bigger. So you never really... I mean, unless the opponent is derping and they don't really pay attention much. But yeah, look, the fights here have been pretty darn good for Zoun. So he's had the bigger eco. And he's also been trading more efficiently than the Terran has. I kind of love what Zoun's been doing here. Lovely game from Protoss, by the way. I've been mostly criticizing Ryung here, but I really do enjoy what Zoun is doing. Although I think that transition when he planted down, what was it, like 5 Stargates in total? A fleet beacon. He started up flyer upgrades and a second cyber core, and then eventually he made 1 Tempest. Yeah, and then he made like 3 carriers after giving up all of his zealots. It just seemed like a very greedy transition, and one that should have never really been allowed like that by the Terran. Zoun has been on rails ever since. Just moving through the corners perfectly. Look at the minimap now. Where do you go? What do you do here as Ryung? Where do you... This is a Terran with a very slow death animation. That's what we're looking at. Oh, well, you know what? That EMP was glorious. Oh, no. Zoun also worried. Mama dies in 1 volley of the Vikings. No worries. Stepmom will be stepping in just a moment. Yeah, don't give away your spellcasters. You really do need to have a bunch of High Templar. Yeah, ghosts are still good. Only 4 ghosts, by the way, in the mix. Maybe that's the key. We've seen a lot of Terrans celebrate the new patch and make like 20 ghosts, since they're now 2 supply rather than 3. But clearly, this is an army that is more formidable now with less ghosts in it. Look at the bank though here for Zoun. He's got 16 gateways, 6 stargates. So he can effectively remax in about 30 seconds time. Vikings kind of counter all of these Protoss units. So we have 31 of those bad boys. That's nice and all. But even if all of these units from the Protoss player die, he could still just like re-warp in maybe 2 waves or so of Stalkers and be mostly okay. Like he could make a transition to full immortal Stalker in about 30 seconds time. And it still would be very difficult for Ryung to stop. Instead, we're going 6 carriers. Okay. This is like your favorite 4v4 teammate. You know that guy in the corner of the map who's not helping out at all, but then suddenly he starts making 6 carriers at a time and he maxes out on the most powerful unit that Protoss has? That, well, maybe actually the High Templar is better. Anyways, Zoun is now that guy. Doing his own thing, making flying units. And it's a scary army. Yeah, he's got no urgency here anymore. So he knows that Terran is broke. Oh, that was me kicking my footrest. He knows that Terran is flat broke. So he's got very little reason to move into all of the missile turrets and all the rest of it. He doesn't really want to give the Terran player the opportunity here to jump him. He's mining. Terran's not. So why bother? Action is on Ryung, not on Zoun. Little zealot in the top left scouts out indeed that the base has not been taken. Tactical nuke. Okay. All right, all right. Not nuking his own army this time. At least that's gonna force Zoun to do something. He's gonna kill the ghost. Oh, he doesn't have detection. Ooh, careful. I mean, if you get your army nuked now right now, that would be one way of getting the job done, but... Yeah, no, this is another though. Yeah, when all the interceptors are deployed, I think this is a perfectly reasonable way for Protoss to win. Next up, we find ourselves on the map Winter Madness LE. Another Ladder Edition map. Another finalist from the map contest. This time around, though, without sponsorship logos anywhere. Look. Oh. No sponsorship logos anywhere. Hosting a map tournament. And then having sponsorship logos all over the map. Hey, look, they actually reduced the amount of... They've reduced the snowfall effect! They did exactly what I was actually suggesting at the time. That's funny. Yeah, they heavily reduced it, especially through the middle of the map, it seems. Ah, okay. Yeah. So there's a little bit over here. There's a little bit of it in the main base too, but it seems to be taken down by like 90%. And then, I guess in the middle of the map, it's barely noticeable. It could just be, though, because of the wider background. Just makes it a bit more... Anyhow. I did fast forward through the first 2 minutes of the game. The players are having a little bit of a chit-chat. I have no idea what they're talking about. But, usually, there is a guy. Shout out to the guy in the YouTube comment section for directly translating everything. I appreciate you. There's actually multiple guys. Is it rude to refer to the guy in the comment section? Maybe I'm being a little bit rude. Anyways, shout out to the guy in the YouTube comment section. I will try to pin your post if I see it. The only problem with those things is that I never have any way of fact-checking whether or not the translations are correct. So, anyhow, I've always just assumed that it is factual. Because I would assume that somebody else would probably, another guy, would probably call them out. All right, it's gonna be Cloak Banshees here. Yeah, I've tried using Google Translate and like Google Lens and all that in the past to give at least some semblance of a translation, but it's absolutely terrible. It doesn't do a very good job at all. I have also considered learning Korean, and I started with it, but after a few weeks I was like, this is a little bit too much commitment for, you know, the 1 or 2 times that this happens a month. Because usually the players are also talking about absolutely nothing important. Like, if they were actually actively trash-talking each other every second game... You know, there are some gaming industries out there, some gaming scenes out there where the pro gamers actually actively trash-talk each other. That would change things a little bit, but... Robo Bay here for Zoun really quickly. So, this time around, we are not going to go straight into the, Storm upgrade. Instead, he wants to go straight from the Blink Stalkers. Ooh. Straight from the Blink Stalkers into the Robo Bay. So, we are building up the Colossus here in just a moment. For now, though, Engineering Bay is going to go down. Cloak Banshee. Number 1 has arrived in the main. But because, of course, the other one was spotted, on the other side of the map. Not ideal. 3 probes is not terrible, but the main problem is that now the second Banshee will also likely not get too much done. For now, as a matter of fact, it's just chilling at home. Saving up a bit of energy. Maybe it'll be able to go in for more in just a moment. Okay. Stim pack, combat shields, +1 infantry attacks. When we get to 100 gas, boom! There it is. But of course, this timing is never gonna be done in time for the Colossus. As a matter of fact, I think Zoun can have multiple Colossi out by the time the Terran gets across the map. And extended thermal lens as well. So it makes all of this a little bit difficult for Ryung. Who's again not really setting himself up for any sort of real attack anytime soon. Maybe he will commit to a more aggressive push this time around, but... This very much so seems similar to the mindset that we had in the previous game of just being a bit of a punching bag and then maybe eventually overwhelming the Protoss. Zoun playing around it already. Going for the very quick Colossi. These bad boys don't mess around. Zoun only just now getting his additional gateways done. Okay. Now there will be a move out. Problem is, charge is already done. And extended thermal lens is finishing. So this is a nice move out. And it would have been fantastic against a lot of Protoss openers. But this is one of those Protoss openers that I think is just going to destroy it. He sees charge? Oh, charge alone is apparently enough.
Research.
I don't even think he's seen the Colossi, but he sees charge and he's like, nope, I'm going home. Observer now sees it as well here for Zoun, who's going to celebrate with 2 forges. 2 forges as well as a 4th Nexus. I really like what Zoun is doing, honestly, across the board. Like, he is playing Ryung like a fiddle so far. Playing hyper greedy when he knows Ryung is going to be passive. And then when he confirms that indeed the opponent is not really going for the attack that they had intended, he immediately plays hyper greedy follow-ups yet again. Double Forge is not too crazy. It's the same, I guess, for the Nexus here. It's nothing like that Stargate, that Skytoss transition from the previous game, but Zoun is certainly playing the game very intelligently here, right? Just making it difficult for Ryung to really get anything done. So Zoun playing much more reactionary, using what is probably prior knowledge to previous games that these two may have done in practice or maybe in tournaments recently. And yeah, Ryung is just trying to play his A game, which works maybe well against the average Protoss player. He's got a good number of supply, right? It's not in a bad spot or whatever. This is a lovely trap as well here by Protoss. Ryung just not really able to catch much of a break. Fourth command center coming up. Cloak Banshee shows up too. Anticipated perfectly here yet again by Zoun. Man, Zoun is playing some excellent StarCraft. Like, that previous game was long, right? I feel like Zoun maybe could have tried to go for a more aggressive push, but there was no reason for it. He was in control for basically the entire second half. We are going to go for units, apparently, that he never built in the previous game at all, though. We are going to be adding on the Disruptors. Disruptors and then also a Dark Shrine. Okay. Look at the minimap setup, too. We have 4 spotter units that are all here in position to let the Protoss player know that the Terran is moving out. Since they're not, we're going into a 5th base. Ryung did make a 4th. Gonna have to fly it down to the low ground here. Difficult map to really be aggressive on. Winter Madness in general. I mean, maybe you could go in from the side. Maybe you can move in over here. But again, why wood sound? What's the point? +2 fires up for Ryung. Yep, there's the 2nd NG bay as well. Fair enough. But Ryung is still countering the previous setup, and Zoun has already moved past that point. I find this all a little... It's not bad across the board, I suppose, but it's just that in every pillar of the game, Terran falls behind this way. You fall behind in eco, you fall behind in army, you fall behind in upgrades, you fall behind in tech. You just don't really have any real advantage. Like, it's all relatively slim, right? Like, the differences aren't that big. Zoun is going to try and see if he can extend it just a little bit. This is still very winnable for Terran, of course. But now you're almost relying on the Protoss player to make mistakes. Now, I do wonder if maybe making disruptors is a mistake. I think the unit is kind of terrible these days, but... Lovely little group of zealots here trying their best while the bowling balls are rolling forward. "11 SCVs end up going down, and that will suit Zoun just fine, who celebrates with another base. As well as the Blink upgrade, as well as a 2nd Stargate. We're going to go into a... Actually, that's the 1st Stargate. We're going to go into the +1 flyer upgrades already, because Ryung, yet again, is not really intending on moving across the map. Now, in a way, even though I kind of dislike this Terran playstyle, this super passive approach quite a lot, in a way, I am kind of glad that it got punished so hard in the previous game. And I think it is getting punished yet again in this one too, because I feel like passive play in general in StarCraft 2 is just not good. Like, I feel like it's not a style that should be promoted too much. It's good when it's, like, played every once in a while, but when your go-to is to, like, sit back and do a whole lot of nothing for the first 20 minutes, it's just not... It's not that enjoyable to watch compared to the more active styles, in my personal opinion. Now, you may disagree. But Ryung is basically just trying to get up to 200 supply eventually, and then hope for the best. As the fusion core is going down, though, we already have 2 additional Stargates, a 2nd cyber core. We have the fleet beacon on the production tab too. Zoun is playing even greedier than the previous game. It's the double forge. We're even going into the speed upgrade for observers right now. He needs to be careful, though, that he doesn't get carried away. Ryung's army is still huge. Viking numbers are already quite large, by the way. We're up to 15. 11 photon cannons in the meantime are going down. Okay. Triple command center. Really? Ryung. Either he feels like it's an unplayable matchup, or he really just isn't, feeling too confident about the whole setup. The thing is, whenever I hear Protoss players complain that this matchup is... Or sorry, Terran players complain that this matchup is unplayable, their complaint is Storm. Like, their main complaint is Psystorm most of the time. And there is no Psystorm in this game. Zoun is just rolling the balls. Man, being Protoss is so much more fun in this matchup than being Terran. It's insane. Zoun can do a lot of different things here. Ryung is... Yeah, he's been punched in the mouth one too many times, I guess. Zoun is walking around like he owns the place. So, he's got a full transition ready to go to Skytoss. But I guess he has now seen that Terran has already got an insane amount of Viking, so maybe he shouldn't bother. But he's still upgrading. Ranged Liberators coming up for Ryung. He doesn't even have any Liberators yet, though. What about this little choke point over here? Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think it's a great move in here. Terran, in the meantime, trying to see if he can potentially cut it off. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, jeez. Oh, God. Oh, blood, sweat, tears, pain everywhere we look. Yeah, Zoun wanted to go Skytoss, but he looks at this fight. He's like, wait a second. What if I just make Zealots? Look at the bank right now of Zoun. Look at the upgrades of Zoun. Look at everything that Zoun has. Brothers built 3 Stargates, is double upgrading with cyber cores, but hasn't made a single flying unit. And he still has the bigger bank. He still has the better upgrades. He still has the bigger eco. He still has the bigger army. God. Look away, Terran players. This this one is pain. Look at him. He's just bowling for a lucky strike now. Like, you get a disruptor, you get a disruptor, you get a disruptor. Zoun is the Oprah Winfrey of disruptors, man. Everybody gets a Nova. Oh, look. Okay, we didn't make this all for nothing. Mothership coming up. A whole load of disruptors also coming up. Thing is, Zoun just killed 2 bases worth, and I think he's feeling pretty confident. Random scan all the way up here. I guess Ryung wanted to see if either of these 2 bases was taken, or maybe he's just trying to find the army. Planetary Fortress is coming up on the low ground. Liberators are here. I think Disruptors would have... Or, sorry, I think Tempests would have been better here than Carriers. Yeah. Ryung fighting potential unit compositions rather than the ones that he's actually playing against. His imaginary opponents. Cheeky little Dark Templar moving around. Probably just to try and keep tabs on where this Terran army is roughly located. I mean, this is kind of like an observer. Didn't do so well. Ryung, by the way, has stopped making SCVs, so I think the plan is to just make one really large Terran army and hope for the best. Just Disruptors, Disruptors, Disruptors going in yet again! Ay, ay, ay. There's Mama showing up after the fight is over. She's old, okay? She wasn't even needed. It's okay. Everybody loves Grandma. She really, she changed the outcome of that fight. GG though was called, and that means that Zoun gets a 2-0 win. Now, even though this is like a 45-minute best-of-3 series or so, it was still a landslide victory. And most of the time what we see with these sort of wins is the players committing a little bit more to the advantage, right? But Zoun just played this out carefully. He just played it out. He's played it out very calmly. He didn't really bother being overly aggressive. And it worked out for him perfectly in the end.